Welcome, everybody. I'm Alfred Lemont Weber, and it's a great privilege today to be once again with Gary Peter Carlson. And we've asked Gary to come in and to address a very specific topic, and that is a soul analysis, Draco Reptilian souls versus human souls that are involved in the whole issue of the Hamas-Israel conflict that started around October 7th, 2023. And I know that there's a lot there, but we'll get to it. But first, for those who are maybe joining us for the first time or maybe do not recall, we're going to go to share screen and we'll be looking at, just for background, so that people see the type of interview that we do with Gary Peter Carlson at newsinsideout.com, because we'll be doing that same sort of soul analysis. Here we go. Soul analysis. Who is in power in a specific nation? Draconian souls, lizard souls, or human soul leaders? In other words, the concept there is that, for example, we're here on planet Earth, we're in a nation-state system, and it may be that we have 7 billion human avatars, and maybe many of the 7 billion are incarnated with divine human souls, but then there is a specific number through a fourth-dimensional conspiracy, you could call it, that are incarnated with draconian Draco Reptilian souls that have seized power in government, in politics, in military, in religions, in media, in particular races, or in who is in power in a specific nation. For example, the nation-state leaders. If you go to the United Nations and all of the nation-state leaders, if you look at the nation-state leaders of the major nuclear powers, are those human souls that are in power, or are they Draco Reptilian souls, or are they a subcategory of reptilians such as lizards? So this is the sort of analysis that Gary Peter Carlson does, and it gives a different perspective on geopolitics and on exopolitical affairs. So this is what we'll be doing, and looking at the dynamics of the Hamas-Israel conflict and all of its backups on the Hamas side through to Iran and all of its allies, and on the Israel side through to the West and the Israeli power structure, the Illuminati power structure behind it, the Rothschilds in Israel. Rothschild Avenue is very prominent, and it was the Rothschilds that are credited with the British Crown with bringing Israel into being. What at the soul level was that done as a conspiracy of the Draco Reptilian souls that had incarnated as the Rothschilds and the British Crown? We'll be asking those types of questions, so we get beyond the normal conventional hypnotic reality. So these are some of the typical articles that we've done prior: Draco Reptilian souls versus lizard souls versus human souls, with Gary Peter Carlson. We'll be including these in, down below, all the links to these, so you can go. Soul analysis of November 2022 U.S. midterm election results. Gary Peter Carlson and Alfred Lemont Weber. The Hidden Reptilian Soul Power Structure, Gary Peter Carlson. Souls, Reptilian Soul Dominance of Third Density, Human Souls, and Solar System Ascension, Medbeds, Gary Peter Carlson. Gary Peter Carlson, Elon Musk is a Draco Reptilian soul aligning with Trump's lizard soul. Gary has a particular analysis of Donald Trump, that Donald Trump is not a human soul. He's not a Draco Reptilian soul. He's a lizard soul. So that's why he has certain alignments. 2022 Ascension of Positive Timeline into fourth density as reptilian and lizard souls descend into tactical nuclear war. Gary Peter Carlson. Well, you get the kind of the context here. So I wanted to give that particular background. And so Gary, we're back with you here. And Gary's website is icheckyoursoul.com, and you can contact Gary at icheckyoursoul.com and ask him for soul reports. And he's done analysis of my soul and many other souls that I know of the individuals, colleagues in our circles, and it's very, very useful to get us out of, the reality that we're here on is not just the human avatar reality, but it's the soul reality. That is, and that's more exopolitical, and from a spiritual science point of view, much more relevant. So having given that background, Gary, for our viewing audience and for the listeners that may be joining us for the first time, but also a reminder, because we're now in a conflict that many people say, oh, that was a false flag by the Illuminati on both sides that are controlling the hierarchy, both of the Israeli leaders and of the Hamas that leads back to Iran. It's all reptilians on both sides. I wanted to pause and come back to you and really do an analysis. So I'm really going to turn the discussion over to you, and we'll have questions and answers going back and forth. So if you could, Gary, and the basic question is, could you give us an analysis of the Hamas-Israel conflict going back to the attacks on October 7th, which were, according to the news, attacks by Hamas guerrillas or militants on Israeli civilian. There were music festivals, there were kibbutzes, other things, but also the fence, the famous electronic fence, suddenly was shut down. And many warnings that were given to the Israeli military were ignored. So over to you, Gary.
Thanks for having me again, Alfred. I want to try to explain how all this works a little bit first before I exactly go into it. Basically, there's two groups of people in power. There's the humans. They have human bodies and human souls. And there's another group of people, about 4.5 million of them on Earth, that have human bodies and reptilian souls, and they're disguised as us. Instead of just calling them bad guys, they're reptilians. What you really are is what your soul is, not what your body is. And people just don't understand that it's a whole nother group of people that have reptilian souls. There's about 4.5 million of them worldwide, and there's 4 different kinds of reptilians that are incarnated in human bodies. the main kind that's into control are called draconians, and they seem to have power over the world and over the other groups. And the second leading group are called lizards, and they're trying to take over power from the draconians, and they have a lot of power too. And then there's a group in the Middle East that are called snakes. I guess when they're not incarnated in human bodies, they have a snake body. And then there's a group in the Far East, in the Oriental countries, that are called dragons. But like I said, the draconians are the ones in power. Now, there seems to be a lot of confusion about these reptilians. And basically, the Earth is in third density. There's all kinds of stuff on this. And we're in the fourth dimension. The third density has two dimensions, third dimension and fourth dimension. And each dimension, each solar system is in either the third dimension or the fourth dimension. In other words, if you could fly around space, you would go to some solar systems in the third dimension and some solar systems in the fourth dimension. And our solar system has been in the fourth dimension for over 1 million years. It's nothing new. And the dimensions are length, height, and width, and a component of consciousness. That fourth dimension, a component of consciousness, allows us to channel better and connect with source and find out more spiritual information. Now, these and a solar system can either be in third dimension, or can either be in third density or fourth density. It cannot be in both. So there's no fourth density in the background or beings that are hiding in fourth density. It can't be. Everybody that's here, that's with us, is in third density. And we're going to have planetary ascension probably in 2025. And our solar system's going to advance to fourth density, the fifth dimension. But until then, we're in third density, and there's no fourth density beings here. It's not possible. And the difference is there's two kinds of souls that God makes. Half the souls have empathy for others, and half the souls do not have empathy. And when we go to fourth density, only souls with empathy can go in fourth density. Souls without empathy cannot go in fourth density. So all these reptilian beings that are incarnated in human bodies and controlling the planet will be gone. They can't go in fourth density. And that's the big thing about having fourth density, is to advance into that and getting rid of the reptilian control. All the young planets that have empathy for others, as they slowly evolve with technology, these older reptilian races come and try to control the planet. Now, if they came to the surface with weapons and were controlling everybody, they would have a big fight with other positive groups in a shooting war. So is what they do is they grow clones of the body that's prevalent on that planet. In other words, they have 11 cloning centers, and they grow human clones, and they take their eggs and kill them and trap the soul that's in the egg with magnetic confinement, and then add the soul to the clone. A clone is motionless and it can't move or do anything until a soul is added. And they add their soul to the clone. Now, once these, and then clone can quickly be given the information so it can talk and read and write and all that. And then they train the clone at what position they're going to be in humanity, which I understand takes about 3 months. So some people are getting killed and they're putting clones in to replace them. And it takes about 3 months to prepare one of them. And people have seen various leaders look different all of a sudden, and that's because they were replaced with a clone. and when a man and wife have children, the DNA is split equally from the male and the female to make the children, but the soul information only comes from the female. So whatever kind of soul the woman has, her children will get the same kind of soul. In other words, if the woman has a human soul, the children will get human souls, even if the husband has a reptilian soul. But if the woman has a reptilian soul, the children will get reptilian souls, even if the father has a human soul or a reptilian soul. It doesn't matter. So that's how they're keeping their people in power and making new people, clones and children, where the mother has a reptilian soul. Now, as far as the Israelis or the Jews worldwide, about 30% of all the people that have reptilian souls identify as a Jew. So they're the most powerful group on earth that have reptilian souls. And I think there, maybe worldwide, there's something like 14 million Jews or something like that. I'm not really sure of the number. But overall, about 5% of all Jews have a reptilian soul. And now the reptilian souls do not have empathy for others. So people that have souls without empathy tend to go negative, at least about 88% of the time, of different groups. Some groups without empathy are positive, but the vast majority are negative. And almost all the Jews have draconian souls, but I think there are a few lizard souls among the Jews also. Now,
could you, could you repeat that? Because you mixed up 30% and then you mixed up 5%. And could you be very exact about that? You said that there are, what, about 14 million Jews? And then how many of those Jews, what percentage of those Jews have reptilian souls?
okay, well, if you take 14 million, let's see, times 0.5, or no, times 0.05. Let me do that over again. That would be about 700,000.
So what you're saying is that 5% of
Yeah.
the 700 million
Approximately
Jews,
5% of the Jews have reptilian souls.
and those are Draco reptilian souls.
And most of those would be Draco reptilian, and there would be a small amount of lizards among them too.
Okay, now let me ask you a question that I have not discussed with you before, but I want to ask you this. There is a man who alleges that he was taken for 6 months to the Tiauba planet.
What?
And he says that there he was told that all the Jews in the world descend from a particular spaceship that crashed here, that were all inhabitants from the planet Hebra, Hebra. And the planet Hebra was a category 6 planet. Earth is a category 1 planet, and the planet Hebra was a category 6 planet. In other words, advanced intelligence. And that's where we get the name Hebrews from. They're from the planet Hebra. And all the Jews, or the Hebrews, are descendants from this one spaceship that was crash landed on Earth. And they're all the Jews, or the Hebrews, are descended from that particular crash landed planet, so that they're all descendants from that category 6 spaceship. And that the reason for anti-Semitism is jealousy from other Earth species that are from a category 1, when they compare themselves to the high intelligence of the Hebrews, who are descended from survivors of a crash landing of a category 6. Could you just ask your sources right now on the Earth whether or not there's any truth to that message? This individual who wrote a book called the Tiauba Prophecy, which is available without charge at exopolitics.com, our website, whether there's any truth to this alleged origin story. Could you ask that?
Yes, I have. And what I get is, in the beginning, when the Jews started, that was true. But since then, other countries have converted to Judaism and added their people to the mix of Jews. So some of the European Jews that came from Khazaria, or whatever that ancient country was called, that converted to Judaism, they probably wouldn't be connected to that. Just the ones.
To that, so that if you take the Jews as a whole, and you have a kind of a DNA population map in there, you might have genetic lines that are still go back to the original crash, and then among others, you would have genetic lines that are more go back to the Khazarians. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, what I have learned from other people analyzing groups and DNA that I've read about is some type of intelligence factor was added to the Jewish people, or mainly the ones with European ones. And they're as a group have high intelligence compared of some of the other groups on Earth.
Well, this origin story is the origin story from the Tiauba prophecy, and that is that a portion of them are survivors from a spaceship crash from the planet Hebra, a category 6 planet, and that's where we get the name Hebrews from. And I just wanted to intervene next. So,
and I don't know exactly what a category 6 planet is.
Well, it's just Earth is a category 1 planet, and this a category 6 is just that much more evolved.
I'll go into that. If they say Earth is a category 1 planet, I don't know if they say that or not, but that's because we're in the 3rd density now.
Yeah.
Last said third density has third and fourth dimensions, and most of the groups that have empathy for others are 75% of the groups that have empathy for others are in fourth density, and fourth density has 6 dimensions: 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And those, as you go up, you would when a third density planet completes 3 cycles and has a high enough population, it gets to advance into fourth density. And then each cycle, 25,920 years for Earth, you would advance into a higher dimension. And you, as you advance in each higher dimension, you would grow spiritually and have higher technology and be a smarter planet. So a category 6 planet is probably 9th or 10th dimension in the fourth.
Very good. Well, look, let's just stop this topic. I just wanted to get some confirmation from you, and let's go back to your analysis of the Hamas-Israel conflict going back to October 7th, 2023. Over to you.
Okay, there's a Middle Eastern countries have people with reptilian souls controlling those countries, and they're incarnated in snake reptilians. Now, snake reptilians have high intelligence, but since they have no limbs, they can't develop technology. But the lizards came into their planet and made the technology for them, and partnered up with them and took them on spaceships and things like that, and brought them to Earth as one of the groups here. And they're basically in the Middle East. So the Hamas, from what I get, consists of 90% people with reptilian souls, snake, and 10% humans. And supposedly there's a group of people with snake souls in the Middle East, and the Palestinians are Middle Eastern people, but the Jews are European people, and Europeans have draconian souls, the reptilians there. So they recruited a group with reptilian souls out of the Middle East and made the group Hamas. The draconians invented this group, and they used them to come in and take over and control the Palestinians. And that way they can tell these Hamas what to do, and they'll start wars and do stuff against the Jews, and then that gives the Jews the license to retaliate and try to bomb Gaza and slowly eliminate it. And they slowly want to take all the land in Israel. And that's what's going on here. This October 7th was a false flag deal, where Hamas came in and supposedly started shooting and taking prisoners and all that. And then the IDF of the Israeli forces, they came in and shot anybody they could, civilians, Hamas, their own people, and they killed all kinds of people. And then they blamed it all on Hamas, and then called all the Palestinians terrorists. And then supposedly they have a license to bomb, or a reason to bomb Gaza with constant missiles and destroy it, and piece by piece take over all the land. But what I'm getting is it's all a fake deal by the white hats. And there's really no prisoners and no bombing and no shooting. It's all CDI and all a fake deal by the white hats, and it's not really happening. And everybody is protesting and up in arms and going crazy over this, and they're talking about all these people are getting killed, and they're showing all these pictures and all this stuff, and it's supposedly all fake.
Well, but there are reports that 15 to 16 million people have been 16,000 people have been killed since
Right.
October, and that's not true.
Yeah, it's supposedly all fake. They're showing
Okay,
before.
but then there's with that there's been an acceleration of what they can call anti-Semitic feeling around the world, especially in the United States, at the level of the universities and at the level of political activism. That is genuine.
In other words, the lizards are controlling the deal, and everybody thinks the draconians are causing all kinds of deaths and trouble. And supposedly it's fake. What I get, if you read the posts of Mike King on the Real History Channel, I think he might have changed the name or whatever. He's saying it's 100% fake, and white hats are orchestrating it all, and it's all CGI, and nobody's getting killed, and nobody's getting bombed, and it's all fake.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Now I'm familiar with him, but could you check as to whether he is correct or not? Could
I
you
have,
do?
I have extensively asked over and over again, all different ways, and I get yes, he's right.
Okay,
It's,
then let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. It seems as though uh, there have been uh, sort of a deep enemies or deep enemies of a possible World War III, namely Iran, Russia, and China, versus the West, the United States and its allies, which are the two kind of nuclear camps seems to have been activated by this. And there's been a lot of sounds about nuclear holocausts on both sides and nuclear possibilities, especially if you look
yeah,
at the Russians are talking about. Let me get to my question, okay?
I,
If we look, I haven't gotten to a question yet.
okay.
If we look here in the solar system, 705,000 years ago, there was a reptilian human nuclear war on a very large human planet then called Tiamat, which was a neighbor of Mars. And Tiamat was transformed into the asteroid belt. And Mars, which was a verdant planet, was turned into a pumpkin-shaped planet with hardly any atmosphere and no surface vegetation and just reptiles on the surface. Is there any danger that the Illuminati and the reptilians that are behind this October 17th false flag are aiming to turn Earth into another asteroid belt? Over to you.
They want to turn Earth into another asteroid belt. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I get that's all false.
It's all false.
Yeah, I think is what they're slowly want to do is make things halfway right for humanity, and the reptilians stay in power and stay in control. And the humans want to rise up and get them all out of power, and they're arranging a tricky way to stay in power, where like oh, everything's good now, everything's cool, you can stop all the trouble and go on, everything's going to be okay, you don't have to do nothing, and then reptilians stay in power and we don't take them out of power. I think they're trying to work into that move, where the
Okay,
going, everybody was going to get so upset and rise up and remove all those people from power. But they're trying to arrange a way where, oh, nothing's bad happening now, everything's cool. Leave everything the way it is, and everything will be all right. And then instead of having this nightmare where everybody's enslaved, they make it so things are halfway good for everybody, and you don't have to take all these evil people out of power. You can leave them alone, and then they'll stay in power. I think
so
they're
so are they going to succeed in that?
pardon.
Are they going to succeed in their halfway measure?
No, definitely not. If we have planetary ascension and we go to fourth density, none of the reptilians can go, so they'll be all gone there, and we'll get rid of them then. But it'll be a struggle for humanity since they own and control everything. See, we got them outnumbered about 1,700 to 1, but they have 80% of the money, and they own about 25% of all the hard assets and maybe the high-end stuff. And they're controlling all the companies and the food distribution and all that. Remember, you hear all this stuff where they're cutting off the food and they're destroying the supply lines and they're doing this and they're doing that and on and on and on. Every time I go to the grocery store, they packed with everything there is, and there's no shortage of anything. I don't see none of that going on, but they keep saying it's going to happen, but it isn't. Maybe in other countries, I don't know.
Right, right. Well, so we're now in December of 2023. What does it look like for the 2024 US elections?
Well, if it keeps going the way they're going, Trump will get elected.
And that's bringing a lizard into power. He's started to make more sounds like wanting to be a dictator, or is that just he's just fooling around?
Man, I'm having trouble here.
Oh, what is Trump going to be like when he gets into power?
He's gonna do a lot of good things for humanity, but not as much as we want, you know.
Yeah.
He's going to allow new technology to come in and stop the total enslavement. Maybe fix the money supply and the central banks. He'll do a lot of improvements. So he can say, see how good everything is. Everything's cool. We don't have to change anything. We'll all just keep going like it is. You don't have to throw us out, take us out of power. Everything's going good. We're cool, and the country and the world's going to be fine. That's pretty much what his plan is, I think.
Is there any substance to the fact that the US may break up into red states and blue states and may secede, it'll break up as a country.
Yeah, I've been asking about that since you came out with that book and so many emails on that.
Yeah,
Keep getting definite no, and that
no, okay, good.
I think some people's history timelines and the history from 50 years ago, by the time we get now, we're in a different timeline, and some of that stuff gets changed.
Right, right. Do you think that there would be a Trump RFK Jr. fusion ticket, like a red-blue fusion ticket in 2024?
Oh, you mean
Trump president, RFK Jr. vice president. You think that would happen?
I get a definite no on that, and here's why. Okay, RFK Jr. He comes from an Illuminati family. Kennedy is one of those 13 bloodline Illuminati families, except he's human, and his father was human, and JFK was human. They had RFK and JFK had a human mother and a reptilian souled father. So they got human souls because of their mother. But Ted Kennedy, one of the brothers, he had a different mother, and he had a reptilian soul. But I think there was a daughter and another brother that was killed in the World War II, in the end of World War II or something, in a training accident. And I get he had a human soul too. So RFK, he knows about the Illuminati, and he knows that Trump's not human, and because of that, he won't team up with him because he knows he's not human.
Right, right. Do you think that it's worthwhile and it's possible? For example, I have a colleague, Andy Bashago. I think that you know him.
I talked
Yeah, who developed, because he ran for president in 2016, and he developed a thing called the 100 Proposals, where they legalized time travel, teleportation, Tesla technologies. They made public the bases on the moon, the bases on Mars. They got all the galactic commerce. Do you think that it would be possible to go to Trump and Trump would accept running on the 100 Proposals?
Yeah, I believe that he's in bad health because he got hit by a directed energy weapon. But he's
Who are you talking about? Trump or Andy?
and
Yeah.
he's in bad health because he got hit by an energy weapon, and he's waiting for a med bed or some kind of
Yeah. But I'm talking about Trump and taking Andy Bashago's 100 Proposals to Trump and having Trump run with the 100 Proposals.
I'm getting yes on that.
Yes. So what's the best way to, like today, I went to the Trump website and I sent them a copy of the 100 Proposals by email and said, why don't you run with these? What's the best way for us to get the 100 Proposals to Trump?
I mean, I don't have communication with any politicians or not familiar with that. That's not a question I could answer.
Yeah. Do you think that, okay, could you ask this question? Will the 100 Proposals get to Trump and will he accept them? Answer that question.
I get yes.
Oh, good.
He's not ready for him yet.
Okay,
I mean, somebody else that he's closely aligned with probably has to get these proposals that has Trump's ear and say, look at these, you need to do these to stay in power and make
yeah.
your
Who would that be? Do you have any suggestions, or you don't know?
I mean, I don't know all the people lining them.
Yeah, you know, maybe one of his children,
General Flynn,
General Flynn. Okay, thanks.
he has a lizard soul, and
Yeah,
he's closely aligned.
okay,
You
General
probably
Flynn.
you probably need to get to a person that has a lizard soul, uh, and, and get their ear and point this all out, and then Trump will
Right,
certainly then talk with that.
right, right. Okay, so let's get back to the question of of the Hamas and Israel and the suffering that's going on right now in Gaza, you know, or the reported suffering. What's the best way to bring then all of this machinations and false flag and conflict in Israel to an end if it's just the machinations of the Draco Reptilian souls, both on the Hamas side and on the Israel side? What's the best way to end it?
I guess they got to have some type of truce that completely stops it, and
Yeah, but how are right now you have like the head Draco is Bibi, right? Is the head Draco is Netanyahu, right? And the Rothschilds, right?
he needs to be removed probably.
Yeah. So how is that going to happen?
The people are against him; they don't want him in, and he and other politicians are trying to change the government to where the government with the judges and all that have way more power over the people, and the people are completely frozen out of power, and the people are up and protesting against that like crazy. That was going on before October 7th. They were protesting over this
Yeah,
power grab.
yeah, but now it's because become complicated because now you've got the Dracos on the Hamas side, you've got the Dracos on the Iran side, you've got the Dracos on the Israel side. So how to neutralize all of these Dracos on both sides?
They probably got to take some of these corrupt Israeli leaders out of power and agree to a two-state solution.
Yeah.
Stop all the nonsense and just end it. I mean,
okay, so what's the best way for we humans to take Dracos out of power?
probably the probably election. Probably the people vote them out. I mean,
Election.
Maybe some type of military force could do it too.
Okay, if Trump gets elected as a lizard, is Trump going to take the Dracos out?
I get yes on that. The
Okay.
Start trying to take over the initiative and have the power on Earth instead of the Draconians.
Okay.
To change it to and as I've been telling everybody, the Draconians are super evil and and the lizards are moderately evil.
Okay. Well, look, why don't we leave the interview right there? And we will have a follow-up interview as things evolve. Why don't you let everybody know what your website is? Do you have your sign there?
Yes.
Could you tell, is icheckyoursoul.com, could you tell them just a bit about your soul reports?
Yeah, I get about 15 to 20 different things on your soul. You know, you get a soul score, and you get your status, you know, whether you're in cycle, qualified for ascension, a star seed, or a wanderer. And you found out the approximately how old your soul is, how many past lives, and you find out about your karma. You find out what level your soul's on. You find out when your soul's going to advance to a higher density, and there's a whole lot to it, and I explain how everything works. I'm the world's expert on souls, and I also think I'm the world's expert at using the pendulum to find out spiritual facts. Like there's this lady, I forget her. Let me see. Was I think Laura Knight Jakuchag. I can't pronounce her last name. Anyway, she's writing all these books on the Wave series about the reptilians and all this evil stuff, and these people are having podcasts on it, and they're saying reptilians are from fourth density, and they're saying there's a fourth density service to self. These are all wrong facts. And this lady that's writing the Wave series and all these books, I checked her soul, and she's one of these people that are 5% done with their cycle. So she's in her second life, and she's got like a 35 soul score, and she's got 6x bad karma, and she's got low good karma, and she's writing all these books with these information about reptilians, and it's all wrong. And people are spreading that all over and repeating it and acting like it's a fact. There's no hidden fourth density on Earth, because Earth's in third density, and a planet can't be in both third and second and or third and fourth density. So there's no people that are hiding in fourth density, invisible to us, and all this kind of nonsense. There's bases all over the Earth where these reptilians and reptilian bodies are. I think all four groups have a base in Antarctica, and then there's a base in the government land in the United States, and there's a base in Canada. I think there's one in Syria, there's one in Africa, and there's one in Asia somewhere. And they got cloning centers in all of them. They're making more clones and sending them into society to possibly cause trouble and take over. You know, they increase their numbers from 4.3 million to 4.5 million. So I mean, I'm convinced, and you can find out who has a reptilian soul by checking their aura. They sell a camera or an aura photo.com, but it's like 10,000 or something to get the camera. But somebody can make a device to see them. But basically, what I'm saying is we gotta de-reptilianize the Earth. I think is the key word I'm using. De-reptilianize, kind of a word I invented. I was told to invent. And I think we can, and we can change every country to human leadership, and we can have special forces destroy these cloning centers, and we can take these people out of the power structure, and then there'll be no more shortages. Every country everybody will be no more poverty. Everybody will have a place to live and food to eat and a comfortable life, and they won't have to work so many hours and all this stuff. I think that's coming when our planet has planetary ascension and advances to fourth density. But if the reptilians stay in power where they own and control everything, when we take them out of power or we advance to fourth density and they get taken out, there'll be a big mess when they're removed all of a sudden. Nobody will run the companies and the food won't get delivered, and maybe communications will fall out, and a lot of problems. Humans have to move up and take their spot, and they can raid all their bank accounts and spread all this money they own among all the people on earth and all the governments, and make things right. But it's such a big change that it has to be done properly and planned, and that's coming. And I don't know how hard that change is going to be.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Gary Peter Carlson.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for me.